it was kind of a vague offer. We didn't really have a mission to that we wanted to really do there. And so Messiah's Mansion came back and they offered us another tour to Albuquerque, New Mexico. And so that day, 2 weeks before senior trip, we decided to have a meeting that evening. And that evening we go and we meet, and Miss Wendy brings up this idea from Samuel's mom for Italy. And we're like whoa, like what? Like, yeah, let's go. And we were given more information. Samuel will talk later about exactly where that came from. But we were kind of surprised, and we were told more about it. And so basically, this family there, who we'll talk about as well, right in the picture you see the family. You have Marco and his wife and their 3 kids, who we'll also talk about later. But they are a couple. He's actually from Argentina. No,
he's born in Turin.
Yeah, but he's born in Turin. Sorry, but he lived in Argentina for a lot of his life, apparently, most of his life. Actually, it was very nice because Samuel was able to communicate very easily. They were able to speak English, but it was very broken. They were able to communicate fairly well, though. It was pretty good. And throughout the time there, we got to really to know the family very well and hear their story. And they met in Switzerland, and they got married in Switzerland, and they moved back to Argentina. And they were really looking for something to do with their lives. They wanted to serve God, but they didn't know how. And they decided on northern Italy to work there. And he has had some experience with healthcare in his life. And a fun fact about Italy, or Europe as a whole, but...
She's a nurse too.
Oh, he's a nurse. She's a nurse. Okay. So he's had healthcare experience and she's a nurse. And a fun fact about or not so fun, but a fact about northern Italy and about Europe as a whole really is in the whole province of Cuneo. The whole province of Cuneo, there is no Adventist organization at all. And there is one church in the province north, in Piedmont, and there is one in Savona, the province south. But there's no Adventist organization. And they're really the only Adventists that they know of in that province. And out of the 60 million people in Italy, there are just over 9,000 Adventists. And so, surprisingly, Italy is very unreached, not as far as Christianity, but as far as Adventism, it's very unreached. And their dream is to have a healthcare center there. And that's the reason we went, to help out with them. And the place that we're talking about, they were looking for, back to the story, they were looking for something to do with their lives, or something to do for a mission for God. And the idea of the health center came up for them, and they were looking for this place. And they had no money to speak of for raising funds or for building a place to be a health center. And they were looking around, and they found this place in Montaldo di Mondovì, up in the mountains in the foothills of the Alps. And it was listed for 100,000 euros, and they had nothing. They did a little GoFundMe to raise money for not the down payment, but to place an offer. And they put an offer of 60,000 euros, which is a huge drop from 100,000. And they're like, well, if God wants it to work out, it will. And the people got back with them and were like, this is a little bit less than we were hoping for. And you're like, would you do 70,000 euros? Which is they're like, yeah, I mean that's great. That's better than expected. And they pray about it and they decide that, yeah, we're gonna go with that. But they still had no money. And they did some other fundraising. They got a donation from ASI, and they were able to raise some money, but they're still about 40,000 euros short, coming up to the day. And finally, the lady's grandma, who passed away or something, had an inheritance, and her parents decided that, we think this is a good thing, we put it towards that. And so they were able to buy this place. And there was not much it was not a whole lot there as far as promise. It was a very rundown place. It's a very big complex, but it's a very rundown place. Dad, do you want to give more details about the place itself? Like the...
What specifically are you thinking of?
Like about the well and the doctor and the...
What they found out later, which was kind of interesting, is the previous gentleman who lived there was a doctor. He was kind of the area doctor. And he actually used his practice as kind of an outreach to the community. And he would eat there. Actually, there is under one of the little buildings, there's actually a pizza oven. And so that was the place people would come and they cook their pizzas and have little community gatherings there at the house. And so the people in that area are used to that being a healthcare facility. And now their dream is to return it to a healthcare facility, but using the principles of New Start and things like that. And so it needed a lot of work. As we've talked with them over the time, they shared more and more of their story. This has all happened within a year and a half from now. So this has been moving. They had this burden on their heart. God came through with the funds, and they've done remodeling work. And as Marco said, I think it was Marco or Candace, I don't remember which one, says, this has been the hardest year we've ever had. The more obstacles, more problems than ever before. And it tells us that someone doesn't want this to go through. And so we were able to go and just do a little bit to help them further down. As of this past September, they had to move in. Basically, no running water, no electricity, no heat. And she had to live there with the 3 kids because he works in Switzerland still. And he travels back and forth, spends a few days there working, and comes back. And so it has been a struggle for them, but they have a dream and a belief that this is something God wants them to do. And so we were able to do a few things, but in order to do that, we had to get there. Cam, you want to share with us a few things about getting there?
Yeah, so we left on Tuesday when spring break started at like 2:45. We left the airport, and we were all worried about our bags being overweight. They never weighed our bags, so that was just stress for no reason. But yeah, we flew out of OKC to Atlanta, Georgia, and then from Atlanta to Amsterdam. And we were hoping that our plane would get delayed. That didn't happen though. And so we went from Amsterdam to Milan. And then we got there, we got our rental car. Mr. Shaw figured out how to drive, and we got safely to Taldo di Mondovi 3 hours later after we landed. Oh yeah, pictures. I slept really good, guys.
Okay, so once we got there, and what we're going to share with now is the things we did to help them. This all didn't happen necessarily first, but through our time there, we're going to talk about some of the things that we worked on. So, Jonathan, what was kind of the first thing that they asked us to do?
Yeah, so one of the first things we had to do is we had to clean up the yard. And you can see, I think the next slide has more pictures, but that's okay. And they didn't really have much of a yard. They had a little side yard that was where the dog lived. It was kind of a little disgusting. But the backyard was their main yard, I guess. But there's a burn pile in one half. It was what?
2 burn piles.
2 burn piles. It was really very dirty. Unfortunately, we don't have a before and after picture. So you go to the next slide. Right in the middle, you can see looking down. It's a very small yard, but a lot of what we had to do was just clean it up. We shoveled 15 garbage bagfuls of burned stuff and nastiness and dog poop and whatever. but actually I forgot to bring them. But one cool thing is in a corner of the
Sorry, that was a side note he said.
yeah, I forgot to bring what I had. In a corner of the burn pile, there was a place that had not been burned, and there were a bunch of papers and documents that the doctor had from the 1940s, and it was kind of cool. And one of them, there was the document about the fascist insurance company, and so it was dating back to that. And there were actually, on a lot of them, there were some stamps in good condition from the 1940s, so I kept those for my collection. But
That's what he forgot.
that's what I forgot to say. But it was really cool, that little piece of the history there. Also in the side, Sean will talk about wildlife later, but there were a whole bunch of what are they? Wall lizards?
We'll find out.
Okay. But yeah, it was pretty cool.
Okay, talking about yard work, as you see in the picture there, Jonathan's got this big old log he's carrying. We were cleaning up a bunch of logs, branches, and Samuel, why don't you share a little bit about the wood project?
Yeah, so the heating method for the house actually is water that's heated by a boiler and pumped throughout the house and kind of put through radiators, and that just heats the house. And so while we were cleaning the yard, you can see we cut up a lot of branches. There was this tree, and we just cut that up. The boiler burns wood, pellets or nutshells, but we were gonna cut these branches up into pieces of wood to be used in the boiler. And all we had was a couple of little pruning saws, one which broke really quickly. And the other one, I mean, Shaw's laughing, we both kind of fought with that to get the branches cut. And so Mr. Shaw was like, we should really get him some sort of chainsaw. And electric would be better, that way he doesn't have to deal with gas and everything in the fuel mixture. So we went to a hardware store. That was quite a trip. We found the chainsaw we were looking for, but we ended up getting a different one. And you know, we didn't realize it. We walked in and we're like, wait, we don't speak Italian, you know? So we found the saw, and then we had to kind of talk, with the cashier's like, we're gonna buy this saw, whatever. And thankfully she spoke some English. But this, but the saw only did 25 cuts on one charge. And so that pile of wood, which doesn't look too big, took a long time. It took us the entire time we were there. So we kept charging the battery, the guy died, and then we used the previous saw, and then used up the trip the battery again. But by the end of the trip, we finished cutting up that whole pile of wood in the yard.
Just one tree.
Yeah.
Just one tree.
All right, so yeah, that would be they go cut, charge the battery, do something else, come back, cut some more, charge the battery over lunch, come back, cut some more. You get the picture. All right, so we didn't just do outside work. We had some inside things that they wanted done. One of them was something that we thought would take several days to do, and ended up being done in basically one day. Dude, what was that all about?
Okay, so basically, okay, so there was wallpaper in these two rooms. I don't know why it was just in these two rooms.
But we're thankful.
Yeah, right? So we got into the one room, you see it, it's the bottom right pictures. That's the first room there. The process for getting the wallpaper off wasn't too bad. We had to soak all the wallpaper and then we had to scrape it off, right? So the first room was a little tall, right? We had to figure some interesting ways to get it off, right? But we got it done fairly quick, like an hour, maybe two, right? And then the next room, I think I walked in there and I was like, we have to do all this. It was one room, but it was basically like, it was a stairwell. So it was like 3 stories high. You can see it in the left picture there. It took a while, took a lot longer. We had to figure out how to reach all the way up there. We ended up buying some tools just to get it done, but we did get it done. We managed to get the entire room, both rooms done in just one day. Praise the Lord. Also, while we were there, do we have any pictures? Okay. No, also while we were there, they had radiators that needed to be sanded. They have radiators all throughout the house that have, I guess, boiling water ran through them, and that's what they use to heat the house. So those needed to be painted, and to paint something you need to sand it. So we sanded like 5, 6 radiators, something like that. I don't know. 7, 8. Okay. So yeah, we sanded some radiators. We didn't paint them, but they're ready.
Yeah, so these things were happening. I think we were doing things a little faster than expected. Sunday before we left, they asked, hey, can you clean out the attic? Samuel, you want to share what the attic was like?
Sure. Okay, so yeah, towards the end of the trip, Marco asked us to clean the attic. Yeah, it was full of trash and debris. A lot of broken tile, which was actually fun because we kind of set up a team. There was a team on the ground. This was on the very top of the house. That's like the 4th floor plus. And we would just carry the tile to the balcony and just drop it on the grass. And that was really satisfying to do. It got old though. But yeah, so once we cleared all the tile, fiberglass, whatever is in this, then we just had to dust the place. There was like a good 2 inches of dust down on it. And so Mrs. Roberts and I, that's just one of the small parts of the attic. It just kind of went on. But we had to get in there with like a little broom and sweep all that out, meanwhile running a vacuum cleaner. And we did, but it
And
was...
that vacuum cleaner filter would clog up every 5 minutes.
I'm still coughing. But we cleaned that up. We were both covered in dust. And also some of us, we don't have a picture of it, but there were several different balconies on each floor, and one of them really was broken up. The tile was just... 2 of them, actually. It was just kind of scattered everywhere. So some of us also swept and cleaned that up.
Can I catch that real quick? One thing about the tile is really interesting to me, at least, is that many of the old roofs, or almost all of the roofs up there, they're pretty old, but instead of having like normal roofing, it was all tile ceramic roofing. Like the entire thing, it was ceramic over top of, if there was any insulation, there was insulation, but there was none here. In fact, back around in the corner, there was a hole you could see the whole backyard from, but up in the attic. But yeah, it was really interesting to me. It was all ceramic roofing.
Yeah, the way they built the roof was cool. Like here we have beams and stuff that are cut. There they just use like trees and stuff.
Yeah.
And to like support it, they use like a little wedge of wood here, a little wedge of wood there.
They don't know how old that house is.
Yeah, true. Part of
Yeah.
it, especially the original first part of the house, no one has an idea of how old this house is. You go in the basement and there actually is a wine cellar with wine barrels in it, and actually I think there was still some wine bottles in there.
They're like 8 bottles of wine.
Yeah.
That basement looks straight medieval.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting house. Yeah, so in total, how much trash did we actually clear out of between upstairs, the yard, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Someone wanna tell?
Like 40 big trash bags, and which ended up being over 3 like packed vanfuls where only one person could fit in to drive barely. Like, yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, so we took out a lot of trash. And Marco told me that he has made over the time they've had this place, I don't know how many dozen trips to the dump, just because cleaning stuff out. All right, well, doing all this stuff, 7 teenagers and 2 adults, 3 kids and 2 other adults work up an appetite. And they are not used to feeding 7 hungry teenagers. And so they said, we're gonna need help. And so most of them, I think, had an opportunity through the time to spend some time in the kitchen helping to prepare our meals. So, Ina, tell us what that was like.
So I had the privilege of helping out a couple of the days. It was actually quite fun. Another challenge that they've never done before was making vegan food. That was quite interesting. But I am not much of a cook, but I was able to help them. And it was really fun making different cuisines that I can't even pronounce. But it pretty much took the whole day. Sometimes the kid would try to help the kids. There weren't much help, but it was really fun. One of the days I was able to call my mom and see if I can make chapati for them, which didn't end up really turning like chapatis.
Tasted great though.
We made some, and it was really great. I was able to talk with the family while we were making them. And it was really cool because Mr. Marco, he also cooked, and something that he really liked making was pizzas. That was my favorite. We spent the whole entire day making pizzas, and it was quite unique because, again, they were used to making it like with cheese and all that, and we made it vegan. But nonetheless, it was really fun. We made a lot, and it was great, really great.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
That was good. Back outside, as we were cleaning up, we had a very interesting discovery that I'll let Sean share with us.
So do you remember when we were talking about the fact that the house used to be owned by a doctor back in like the 1900s, like way back early? Well, we found a little bit of evidence of that in the backyard. So we were doing some cleaning up, some trash outside of the backyard, and maybe Miss Roberts wants to tell this part of the story, but anyway, she stumbled across a little piece of glass, and she looked at it, and it was a glass vial, right? And
Still closed.
yeah, it was unopened, and it had like liquid inside. And so we're looking around the area, and there's like another one, and then you like dig down a little bit in the soil, and there's more. And so we started digging through the soil, and we started picking them up, and we found more and more and more, and almost all of them were unopened. These glass vials full of this strange looking liquid, and we're like, what in the world is this? So we get a trash bag, and we start digging just more and more and more. It's like there's like a whole pile of them under the soil, right? And we're trying to get all this glass out of the yard because it's obviously not a good thing to have in the backyard. But you can see the hole there. We dug so much, you can see the plant roots. There was like this whole bank of like the side of the hill that was sloping down. It was just full of this stuff. And we were like, what in the world is this stuff? But then we thought back to the fact that, you know, the old doctor had lived in this house a while ago, and by trying to decipher some of the worn out labels and stuff, I remember Samuel and I were doing that was pretty fun. We realized that it was a bunch of medical supplies and mostly vitamins and supplements. There was like calcium and different vitamins like that. Not anything too crazy, we think, but it was a really odd experience for sure, and I've never seen anything quite like it. So yeah, that was something we discovered when we were out digging outside in the backyard. And in fact, there was so much that I tried to get like all of it out of the soil, and we tried to like clean it all up, but there was just so much that if you kept digging, you'd just find more. And we eventually, after getting what was likely a good portion of it, we kind of had to give up just because there was so much.
I had to make him stop or he'd still be there doing it.
To this day. Oh yeah, Enoch was experimenting with them while he was like breaking them open. He's like smelling them. He's like, he was having fun with it. But.
He's still around somewhere.
Barely.
Definitely an experience. So in order for Marco and Candace to be able to make food and help do projects, and Marco had to go work a couple of nights, there's these three little kids running around that need to be looked after. And so I don't know if everyone had the opportunity. I think everybody had an opportunity to have
Jude.
to spend some time with these young children. And Cammie will share with us some of the experiences they had.
So yeah, they had 3 little kids. The oldest was 8 years old, and his name was Jonathan. We called him Little Jonathan and Johnny. And they had a 5-year-old, and her name was Alicia. And then a 2-year-old, you can see Enoch's holding her in the picture on the right, and her name was Ainara. And all of these kids had quite the personality, strong personalities. And in order for work to get done, we had to babysit them every single day. And so I think every single person, except for Jude, watched them for a full day, more than once or more, and Samuel and Sean half a day. And Johnny was the only one that went to school, so he would be off to school for some days, but most of the time it was us and the 2 little girls. And they always wanted to do something. And if they weren't doing something, they were watching Cocomelon. And so, to try and get them to stop being iPad kids, we would take them to the park, or we would take them on a walk with their dog Leo. And then also one time we took them to a library. They have like this thing where they like meet up for like 2 hours and do like homework together. And so we took the 2 older ones there, and their teacher was like very interested in information about us. And so I and another, we were there, and she was asking us for our name, where we came from, where we were originally from, and all this kind of stuff. And we were telling her because we thought she was like interested in our life. Turns out she went and told the paper all about us. And so then the paper called the family saying, hey, do you know this person by this name from this state going to this boarding academy? We want to write a paper on them. And so, yeah, she like gave her information to the journalist of the town. And I think they are going to write a paper, but she told them not give our names out. So that was interesting, yeah.
All right, we did a few other things, but we'll continue on. Yeah, there's the three kids. Let's see, up another picture. All right, so our first Sabbath there, we had the opportunity to go to church in Torre Felice. And I is going to share with us about that.
So Torre Felice was like an hour and 30 minutes from Montaldo in Mondovi, and when we arrived there, this church was like super duper small, and we got lost trying to find it. But
It's in the building, and then we got lost trying to find it.
yeah,
And the building wasn't that big.
There was an apartment complex and the church was at the bottom.
yeah. Anyways, when we finally found it, they were all speaking in Italian, and we didn't speak that, so we went on a separate room with Max's wife, which Sam will talk about later, and Mr. Shao did the Sabbath school, and after that we had church. The church service and the sermon was in Italian, but we had a translator, so that was good.
So what is significant about that church?
This is where the first baptism happened in Europe.
Yep.
Yeah.
First 2 baptisms in Europe that
Yes.
ever happened were there, and it happened before Jane Andrews went to Europe. Those of you who remember your Adventist history, Mikhail Tchaikovsky, you can go look him up. He has an interesting story, but he went there, and they were the first Adventists that were baptized in Europe. All right, so after church, let's see, what picture am I on? Go another picture. Oh, after church.
It was really cool because there was like a whole bunch of like apartment complexes surrounding that little area of Torre Felice where the church was. But then if you look in between the buildings, you could just see the Alps rising from the ground behind it. It was super cool. They're beautiful, and you could see them right from the church where you were standing outside.
All right, so after church, we went to eat at people's house, and Samuel's going to share a little bit about this family.
Okay, so y'all get to see a baby picture. This is actually really special for me. Back in 2015, my family actually went to Germany, to Afko, Germany, and that's where we met Max and back then it was his girlfriend, Anna. I was, 8 years old then? Anyway, But we went there to spread the Ten Commandments, and Max was the director of Apple in Europe there. And since then, we've stayed in touch with them, but I haven't seen them forever. But since then, they got married, and they moved to France, actually, and they had 2 kids, Joel, which is the boy there in Maranatha. But they weren't able to homeschool their kids in France, and he'd been homeschooled growing up, and he really wanted to do that. So they decided to move to Italy. And we're in Italy. Well, I know the Waldensian Valley. So he got the opportunity to go there, and he is living in Prato Torno, which is in the Ingronia Valley. And he's working as the associate director of the missionary training school that they have there. It's the Frontline Messenger Training. So it was just really cool for me. I got to see him after 11 years. I've changed quite a bit, but yeah.
I can say one detail I don't want to miss. One cool thing is when we were eating in their house, we noticed up on their shelf they actually had an Academy Bible. And so we asked about it, she's like, it's just the best Bible. She's like, we've been looking around for one, it's just the best one. And so it was really cool just to see. I think we sent a picture to Mr. Lazar. It was really cool.
Yeah, Max, it was through Max that we actually found out about Marco and his family. Through Max, to same mom to do. So, yeah, it's very interesting. Their Frontline Messenger Training School, they're working on getting started. They're wanting to train young people, at this point in time, young men, to serve as missionaries like the Waldensians. And they actually are living just a stone throw away from what, Sean?
From a very important monument to Christian history, the Waldensian College of the Barbs. And this was the main center of the Waldenses mission, and it was back in the Alps a little ways, and it's an amazing drive through the mountains, by the way, to get there. It's like there's this beautiful creek, and there's this road that winds through, but we were imagining while we were there, what it was like trying to get back there without the road, and it was all trees and rocks and steep cliffs. But anyway, so we were able to visit this historical site, the College of the Barbs, and Max was able to give us a tour of the place because he lived nearby. And we found out a lot of amazing history about the Waldenses, how their mission operated, and the principles they stood for in the midst of persecution. There was some amazing stories that we learned, both at the College of the Barbs itself and at the kind of the Waldensian History Church that was built as a monument to them in the 1800s. And as we were touring around there, we saw a lot of really cool things. This place in particular, you can see from the church, there's a really good view. This valley here is where, I don't know if any of you might know this story, but the Waldensians were running from Roman Catholic soldiers, and they were running up into this, I believe it was up to the mountains, the ways coming this direction from the valleys, and the Roman soldiers were chasing after them. But then this miraculous fog came over and came down and filled the valley, and it was just completely blinded the soldiers, and it was like a separating barrier between them and the Waldenses, kind of like the pillar of cloud did for the children of Israel as they were about to cross the Red Sea. And it was just an amazing miracle story of God's protection and how he provided for them. And the soldiers weren't able to go past the fog because it was a very, very winding, narrow mountain trail, and they started falling and getting confused, and the Waldensians were rolling down boulders to block the way, and so then they just ended up retreating, and it was a really big mess for them, but it was a great victory for God and for his people. And so we were able to see a lot of amazing history there, and to really think about the principles that the Waldenses stood for.
So, before you continue, I actually really like that story, and that was one of the main things that I knew about the Waldenses. And so when I got there, it was really special. But Max talked about that road that you see there. I mean, that's a new road. Back then, it was just a trail, actually, just wide enough for 2 men to walk side by side, or a mule to carry supplies up. So when the Roman guards walked up and the fog came in, they were really trapped. But yeah, it was a really cool spot.
Because that is literally the exact place where it happens. So getting to see that was really special.
I think for all of us, just hearing about the missionary mindset of the Waldensians and the commitment to stand for truth no matter what. They did not have an easy life.
No.
Not at all. You look up this and oh, it's pretty, but think about being there all year round, having to grow your food there, live there, at risk of your life at any time. And just, there's story after story of how they were willing to stand for truth no matter what. A great lesson for us that we have to have that same attitude, that we are willing to stand for truth no matter what others may throw at us. And in conjunction with that is this little monument. As we were going on our tour and we were walking along the road, this is called the Jean-Foran Monument. In 1532, there was like a camp meeting there of all the Waldensian preachers. They'd come together, and there were representatives from the Reformation that were there. Reformation had broken out in other parts of Europe, and the Waldensians had learned about it and said, okay, we need to communicate with these people. They seem to be sharing some beliefs that we have. And so they came, and there was this big discussion that happened, and ultimately, at this location, the Waldensians, or most of them, said, okay, we are going to join with the Reformation. We are going to support it. And out of that support actually became the very first French translation of the Bible, directly because of what happened here.
Be missionaries, or you're going to be nothing. And Max brought that up as something that we could talk about the Adventist church right now. Is we're either going to be missionaries, or we're going to be nothing. And it was something that really spoke out to me.
Yeah, the actual quote says, if you're not a missionary, you're an imposter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, where we're headed...
Oh boy.
Okay, I'm going to go back real quick.
I'll come back to that.
Okay, so from here, we're headed to what is called Geisha de la Tena. Ian, what is that? I'm not going to go to it because
So this,
sound will happen, so say it.
okay, this here was a really cool little cave. We walked on this path right here as we went a little further. We were able to go down into the valley a little bit and then go up, through the rocks and everything. And there was this little cave hidden away. It was kind of damp, not really lit that well. There was some cracks in the top, but it was damp, cold, kind of closed up. And when we went inside, Mr. Max, he told us a story of what had happened. So this was a little hideaway, you could say, where they worshipped God and had like services and different things. A long time ago, there was 12 Waldensian pastors. They were kind of having like a meeting there. And unfortunately, they were snitched on. And the Duke of Savoy sent a bunch of his soldiers to go, kill them. And so they went there, they found the hiding spot, and they didn't go inside and kill them. What they ended up doing was they sealed it up and built fires around it, so they suffocated inside. And I went online, I searched it up, and they were actually singing till they died. And it was really sad. It was really powerful standing inside and seeing this is where people gave up their lives for their faith. And we know there were other stories of this too. There were like whole villages that were actually, they went hidden caves and the soldiers suffocated them. And I don't know, for me, it was a really big reminder of what do I stand for, So we were able to actually sing a song instead. That's what we're going to play next.
All right, so we'll see it. Lord. So from the cave, we went back to Torno, where the Maxson family lived, and we ended the day at this church, which is the modern Waldensian church there in that community. Unfortunately, it is used once or twice a year, maybe, for special events. So, Sean, what else do you want to share about that?
So about the church, like I mentioned earlier, it was kind of a monument that was built to the Waldenses in honor of their faith and their sacrifice. And it's really close to the College of the Barbs, and it's right where they actually did live. And something interesting with this church is, like I said, it was built in the 1800s, right? And when Ellen White was traveling in Europe, she actually visited this church, and she visited the Waldensian Valley, and she said, when she was talking about the visions that she had received in writing the Great Controversy, she's like, wow, this is like actually what I saw. She looked out over the valleys and everything. She said, obviously it was a little different because of the age, but she said, this is the place that I saw in my visions. And I thought that was a really cool detail from her story. But we were able to go inside to visit this church, and it had the Waldensian like emblem and like symbol on the front, and I forget what the motto is in Latin, or is it Italian? I forget.
Light shining in darkness.
But that's what it means in English. It means light shining in darkness. And we were able to go inside the church, and it's a beautiful church. It's very simple, but it's got amazing acoustics. And we were able to sing in there a little bit, and that was really cool, and you'll get to see a video of that in a minute. But one thing that Max pointed out to us about the church is that it's very simplistic. You know, you have just the rows of pews, and it's not like a whole bunch of decorations or paintings or statues on the walls like you'll see in the Roman churches, literally anywhere in Italy. It was very simple, and it had the pulpit right in front of the people and the Bible at the front as the centerpiece. And it really represented how the point of the church was to share God's word in a simplistic and pure way. And I thought that was really amazing about the church. And yeah, it's really cool that we got to visit and we got to learn about some of the history of what happened there. Oh, yeah, also that evening, we had worship there. So what we've been doing is for morning and evening worships. In the morning, one of us guys would generally do it, either Samuel, Jonathan, or I, or sometimes Marco would have something to share as well, and he often did. But in the evenings, we were reading from the Great Controversy. Mr. Shao was going through some of the parts that were really relevant from the Great Controversy, and reading the chapter about the Waldenses in the Waldensian church really hit different, honestly. Like, it made it come alive, and it helped it to really connect, and for us to be able to see, wow, this is real. And it's going to be real for us someday, you know, and that was something that we had to think about. And as we were looking at this church, Max advised us to look at this and to think about the simplicity in contrast to the grandeur and the pomp and the extraness of the Roman Catholic Church, which we'd be visiting several cathedrals in and around the city of Rome when we went there. But yeah, here's a little video of us singing in the church because the acoustics were so amazing, just echoing.
Can I make it work?
Oh no. Okay. It sounded amazing in there.
Sam, you want to share with real quick what the picture on the left there is?
Yeah, actually, I didn't realize you put this picture in it. That's a shot there with binoculars. Towards the end, as the sun was going down, actually, just after we were seeing that song, we heard a helicopter outside, and so we were wondering, like, what is that? So we all went out there, and they were doing some sort of rescue up there on one of the Alps. I don't know what peak that mountain is called, or the mountain peak. Anyway, but the helicopter went up there, and 3 guys jumped out and hiked a little bit in the snow.
Like saw the spotlight.
They saw a spotlight searching for something. I didn't actually see them pick up anybody, but they got something and got back up in the helicopter. The pilot was amazing though. He rested one runner up on like this little bit of rock that was sticking up as they all jumped up, and then they flew away. That was really interesting.
All right, so later on, we went into Turin, or Torino, as you say in Italian. This was in preparation to our trip down south. So while we were there, Sean, what did we go see?
We went to see the Basilica di Superga, and it's a rather large Catholic church, and it has some interesting history to it. So, back in the Middle Ages, the king of Turin, he was the city of Turin was under siege, and there was this chapel up on this hill, and the king of Turin went and he was praying to God, and he was saying, Lord, if you give us this victory, then I promise to build this grand cathedral or whatever up on this hilltop. And so anyway,
It was pretty unlikely they were gonna win.
yeah, the odds were stacked against them. But in the end, Turin actually won, and they were able to fight off the siege. And so this cathedral or basilica was built in honor of that. So we got to explore it, and it's really big, and it is beautiful on the inside. There are a lot of paintings and a lot of statues. There's a lot of architecture that's interesting on the outside. And from the top, there's a really good view of the entire, you can see the entire city of Turin and beyond from the top. There's a winding staircase with, what was it, 132 steps? Yeah. 132 steps to it, and it was like very tight spiral. So we were able to go all the way up to the top of like where the dome was. You can see the staircase there with me and Samuel on the left. It went up quite a ways, and we were able to go to the top. And we did some interesting things on the top. We were looking around and enjoying the view. And you can't really see it too well in the middle photo because there's 2 dots on the right. There were 2 airplanes, small airplanes, like small aircraft that were flying, and they were like flying kind of formation flight. They were super close together, and like it's like at some spots they were all like less than like 10 feet from each other. Like it was scary. Like they were flying like really close, and they were doing like all kinds of crazy formation stuff that I'm pretty sure the FAA wouldn't allow in America. So it's kind of interesting. But and we did that. We were also looking at the airplanes. I had a great idea. I was like, Sammy, we should make a paper airplane to fly it off the balcony, because we were like way high up. Like how high do you think we were up? Like,
Oh, I don't know. You could.
no, it was more.
Yeah.
I feel like it was more than that, but yeah.
Anyway, Sean came up to me with a piece of paper. He's like, "You think what I'm thinking?" I'm like, "Oh boy." Okay, so I made a paper airplane, and we have a video up here, but yeah, Sean threw it off. It actually flew for 40 seconds, a long time.
Yeah, it spiraled down.
And we found it somehow. on the ground afterwards.
Anyway, that's a paper airplane. We signed it, we left it. That was something interesting that happened there that we did. It was a really cool spot to visit though, and it's definitely interesting.
Yeah, look it up sometime. There's a lot of history there, besides what just about the church. Marshall really wanted to show us this, so we went. We also went downtown Turin.
This is in the main city of Turin. The city square.
Okay, here we go. So we walked down there. This is actually the Royal Palace. It was a Royal Palace at one time, a little square there, so we just saw that. Mainly what we were doing down there is we were waiting for our bus to take us to Rome. Sean,
That was quite an adventure, let me tell you. Our bus originally was supposed to leave at, was it 10:45 p.m.? And so we were there, bus station, we were waiting, we were on time, we were a little bit early. And we were like, all right, that's fine. And so we were waiting for the bus to come, and we find out that it's been delayed 50 minutes.
well, we've been downtown and we were just getting on the subway in Turin to get out to where we parked our vehicle. And I got a message on my phone saying, your bus is delayed 50 minutes. Like, well, okay, that's not too bad.
Yeah, we were like, bummer, that's like a whole 50 minutes and it's already late, you know, but we're like, you know, it's okay, we'll ride it out. And so we were sitting there waiting for a long time, and it was getting cold outside. Like a lot of people in our group were getting really cold, and we were getting bored, and we were like, where's the bus? And we were like really tired. And then we find out that it's delayed even more. And it ended up being delayed till about 2:30 a.m. And we were sitting there outside the whole time. Some interesting things happened while we were doing that. We wandered around trying to look for someplace warm to sit inside. And some of us found this like little cafe, and we were sitting there just waiting, just like dead tired, like not knowing what to do. And some of us were sitting outside on one of the benches, and this guy who was under the influence of probably some drugs came and he started talking to us, and it was a really weird interaction. He was babbling a bunch of nonsense, and Samuel could tell you more about that, but it was slightly uncomfortable. But anyway, we were dealing with all of that, and finally at 2:30 the bus comes, and we're like, oh, praise the Lord. We all just get on, and we're get our stuff in, and like all of us just crash, like we're out. And something very unfortunate happened on this bus ride, and they're not gonna stop laughing about it until the end of the school year. But I was sleeping. I went to sleep with my hat on, and it was a pretty nice hat too. My brother had gotten it for me 2 years before, and I woke up a few hours later, and it wasn't until I got off the bus that I realized my hat was gone, and I hadn't removed it from my head. And so I was very upset and very disappointed about that. But it made me pay a lot more attention to my things around me and situational awareness when I was in Rome proper. Which we ended up at about, what time in the morning?
We got there 11:30-ish, something like that.
And thus began our experience in Rome.
And we had the benefit of having a local to help us out, and Cammie can share with
an address early that afternoon, and we missed it by like 3 hours. It's kind of interesting, like directly out in front of the Vatican. He'd given a speech literally like 3 hours before.
All right, share with us what you thought of the Vatican.
We wouldn't have understood it anyway. But it was a pretty cool experience. We went out there. It was perfect weather. The sun was shining. It was cool there. And we went and joined a line to go and see inside St. Peter's Basilica.
Long line.
Yeah, it was a very long line. They had like metal detectors, not metal detectors, but some detectors in there. We finally went inside, and it was really pretty. And while we were walking up to it, I saw some funny looking people. They were dressed in an interesting costume, and I asked Mr. Shao what they were, and he said that they were the Swiss Guard. This is actually something interesting that I found out. In 1527, troops loyal to Charles V had brutally attacked the Pope at the time, Clement III, and they were actually attacking. So at that time, not everyone liked the Pope, and so, the Swiss Guard at the time, they were nearby, and about 189 of them actually defended the Pope, and a lot of them gave their lives. And so they were mercenaries, and so to this day, it is the Swiss Guard that actually defends the Pope and the Vatican. It was pretty interesting. We went through, we weren't allowed to take pictures of them. And once we went inside though, Peter's Basilica is a very pretty place. Now, we went to, previously we had gone to, Oh, and very massive, yes. We had previously gone to the Waldensian Valley, right? And it was a really great thing to see the contrast, because in the Waldensian Valley, people were living there for their faith, and it wasn't good. It wasn't a good circumstance for them to grow food or anything like that. And then you come over to here, Peter's Basilica, and you see people floating with money, literally. It was, go ahead.
So all that gold-looking stuff is actually gold.
Everything that looked golden there was.
Yeah, yeah. If you look gold, it was gold. Does anyone here know how that was funded?
Dental.
Also, yes, indulgences. Selling indulgences is what funded all of that. Think about that. So the contrast between this and what the Waldensians lived in is so drastic. And yet their faith is so drastic as well.
Yeah, it was insane. Something I learned while I was there was Catholic people, they like to monetize everything. It was quite unique. But anyway, we walked around there and we were able to see lots and lots of statues. And while I was on my phone there, I found out that some of the statues that are over there that they call, St. Peter or St. whatever, they were actually pagan gods at one point. They just renamed them. Quite interesting. And allegedly, St. Peter is also buried there. They have like a whole big, I don't know.
Mausoleum.
Yeah, cool thing, whatever it is.
Altar.
On there. And it's, yeah, definitely a huge contrast. But it was really cool walking around through there. We weren't there too long. But yeah, it was great looking at the different sculptures, what they stood for. And Mr. Shao, he was kind of explaining everything. And it was great to see the paintings too. See the contrast, and also for what they stood for compared to what Waldensian stood for. So that was awesome. Go ahead.
And I must say about the Vatican, it was very impressive. It was impressively built. The architecture and the art was just out of this world. But it definitely seemed like they were compensating for something.
Yeah, there's a lot we can talk about Vatican, but anyways, after we left St. Peter's, we walked down towards the river, and we went by this fortress of St. Angelo. We didn't go in and just walked by it, but we were on our way and went and saw the one more Fortress of St. Angelo, Fortress of St. Angelo, Pantheon. When actually saw the outside of that, that's where all the Roman gods were kept, way back when. It was getting too late for us to be able to go in and look at it, but still neat to see. That was kind of the end of our first afternoon in Rome. We ate and went back to the Union office, had a good sleep, and got up in the morning to a wonderful,
More Pantheon.
wonderful rainy day, where we headed back to the Colosseum. Jude, share with us your thoughts on the Colosseum.
Okay, so the Colosseum was really cool. It was probably one of the highlights of my trip, but we almost didn't get to go inside. So, funny story. Mr. Shao goes over, tries to get tickets for all of us, right? And so, shouldn't be that hard, right? There weren't too many people there because it was raining. So he goes over. Anyway, so okay, so he goes over to the ticket booth, and the first question they ask, he doesn't even get to ask about tickets. He's like, the person that's selling the tickets asks, "Are you a school group?" Right? And I I guess. So he says yes, because it shouldn't matter. And the lady is like, "Oh, okay, well, you have to book online." It's like, can we just buy tickets here? No, you have to book online. Okay. So we couldn't really do that because we wanted to go there.
There were no tickets
That's why
available.
we hadn't done it.
Yeah, so that wasn't gonna work. So we're like, well, there goes that. So we thought we would just try again, but we wouldn't go with the adults. We would just go with a couple of students to see if we could get in, right? So 4 of us go, and we don't tell them that we're a school group. Because we're basically not, right? Anyways, so we managed to get in, we managed to get tickets to get in, and it was actually really cool. You want to go to the slide back real quick? To see the... So, the picture on the right, it was really cool to see like the inside. We actually got to go down near the floor. We didn't go to go on the floor, because as you can see, it's not there anymore. It was wood, but it had rotted away. But that was the very place where, I don't know, about 1,000 years ago, more probably, people had watched Christians be persecuted live. And it was just, yeah, for entertainment. It was really insane to see where that had happened and get to, imagine what went on in there. So, yeah, also if you're wondering about the picture of the food, the rest of the people that didn't go in, they went and got food, I guess, because they were hungry.
So we tried to get back in, but as soon as that lady saw me, she's like, "No, you're a school group, go out." No.
But-
Then Enoch
Came to
did
the rescue.
his magic and got
Yeah.
Mr. Child.
Yeah, it's interesting. The Coliseum was originally built just to be a place of entertainment. It was just where they had shows and events and stuff like that. But over time, that wasn't enough. And so they had to introduce the gladiators. So people fighting. They needed that excitement for the entertainment. And eventually that wasn't enough. And so they said, well, let's get rid of these hated Christians and we'll have entertainment while we do it. Just a slippery slope of what we can go down if we don't keep our eyes fixed on what is true.
Something interesting that was happening while they were still fighting with the gladiators and whatnot is I actually heard this story. I don't remember where I heard it, but these two guys had a bet, and they had this like lions versus tigers fight actually in the Coliseum. Like they had several lions and several tigers fighting against each other, and one guy bet on the lions and the other guy bet on the tigers, and the tigers actually won. That was kind of an interesting story. I was like, "Whoa, that's different." But anyway, that was just something that actually happened in the Colosseum itself in Rome. But back to what Mr. Shao was saying, Satan really wanted to use the Colosseum as a way to stamp out Christianity and the followers of Christ back in the early ages of after the apostles. But it's amazing how it was turned around and is now a symbol for Christianity of fortitude and faith in the midst of trial, no matter what.
And I also got a 0.5 of the seagull.
We can move on. Told you guys we take too long. All right, so after this, Samuel and Miss Wendy went and saw this place. Daniel, what is this place, real quick?
Yeah, so you can see is the Scala Santa. Everyone else kind of wanted to go souvenir shopping, but we're like, no, I gotta see this place. I was really curious about this place because this is actually the place where we have the story of Martin Luther, climbing up on his knees, doing penance. And it's where he hears this loud voice like thunder, at least that's what the Great Controversy says, saying the just shall live by faith. And he actually gets up and runs off of these holy stairs. And that's, where you can see his conversion starts. But we went there, there's actually 5 staircases. The center one is the holy one. And there are 4 others, 2 on each side, and they're just for easier access. But it was really an amazing place to see.
There were people still climbing.
Yeah, you're not allowed to take pictures inside, so that middle one's a picture off the internet. But yeah, and at the top there's actually the Church of St. Lawrence, which was the personal chapel of the early popes. It's kind of cool.
All right, we also went and visited the catacombs. Can we talk about it real quick? Nine?
Yes. The catacomb was a huge burial site, and we had a tour that was led by a guy who was trying to become a Catholic priest. And he has some interesting things to say, and from what he said was that no Christian hid there during the persecution time, but overall it was a cool place.
All right, so that evening we got back on our bus, and headed back to Turin, and
I didn't sleep the entire time. But I didn't lose any of my stuff on this trip.
I guess we gotta hurry along. I guess we got bad weather coming.
Yeah, we need to head back to the dorm so that we can be ready for shelter if we need it.
Okay, so I'm gonna take 2 minutes. Second Sabbath, went down to Savona. Went to church there. Nice church service involving all the young people. Went to the beach to enjoy the outdoors. Water was really cold, so a few toes went in, legs, that was about it. Rocky Beach. And yeah. We went and saw another Catholic church near Mondovi. We went up this cable car, which was really neat, up the old city of Mondovi. We're gonna skip over that. We had a lot of food. It was good food. Saw lots of nice scenery. Lots of nice scenery. Mountains, flowers, birds, etc., etc.
Go back. Gaily Jew.
All right. So I'm gonna ask one question of you guys. I said I was gonna ask four. I'm gonna ask one question. How did this trip change or affect you? So in one sentence, can you tell us, how did this trip change your life, affect you, etc., whatever you want to say? So, go.
It challenged me to think, what do I stand for?
It brought to life the sacrifice that our forefathers made for us.
It made me realize that even though it seems significant, small service still counts.
Really gave me a practical view of the Great Controversy on really multiple different levels. We talk about it in like our personal lives as well, but also seeing it there with the Waldensians versus like the Roman Catholics back then, or the early Christians in Colosseum, really gave a practical aspect about what standing up for your faith really means.
I'm sorry guys, we really need to close up the meeting. It's coming down 2:40 from OKC, so we really need to wrap up the meeting. I apologize, but
Let's have a prayer.
All right.
there's a tornado coming.
Should we have a prayer? Should we have a prayer?
Wait. We're gonna have prayer. We're gonna have prayer, okay? And we're not gonna panic you.